Hello and welcome to Library Grindhouse. The link to get need is your library card. I'm Jesse.
And I'm Leah, and today we'll be reviewing the 1992 film The Lawnmower Man, which is an adaptation from Stephen King's short story, The Lawnmower Man, maybe? Kind of?
I mean, it went so far off the rails that the master of horror sued to have his name removed from the film and successfully won. So
Yeah.
we really don't want to be sued for implying that it's a Stephen King adaptation. The original idea, I think, was to translate the story into film, but
I feel like the original, the name was spot on. And other than that, everything else
they wanted
kind
that
of...
Stephen King name recognition, but they really didn't want to go with the story they had and make a movie around a crazy landscaping company.
Well, my thing is, too, like, they called the main character, or one of the main characters, Job, the Lawnmower Man, during the first, 15 minutes of the show, and then the rest of the time, they ixnay that even, really, and they just start calling him Job. So it's like, I just literally don't understand. I don't understand.
Okay, well, before we really dive into it, let's imagine for a second a Wes Anderson adaptation of The Lawnmower Man with a weird kind of Willy Wonka-esque landscaping company.
Yeah.
With Schwartzman playing the lawnmower guy.
See, I'm just picturing, I think it's only because, what is it, Jim, what's the Lawnmower Man's, the actor's name?
Jeff Fahey?
Yeah, I'm picturing Owen Wilson as him. Instead, just because I think the blonde hair. But
that's true.
He's a Wes Anderson guy, also.
That's true.
So,
he's been in the fold.
But
back to the movie
right.
we actually got. And I remember growing up and seeing this in the video store. And I remember the poster art seemed kind of evocative to me. Basically, I felt like it had a ton of negative space.
Yeah.
I looked at it again. It really doesn't have as much negative space as in my imagination. I thought it was all darker colors, the title, and way down at the bottom was Job mowing the lawn. And it was just I thought it was just all dark, evil sky and just this lawnmower guy at the bottom. And I was just that's interesting. I don't know. It was interesting to me. And I really wanted to see it. And I finally did when I want to say I was 13, 14 when I saw the movie.
Yeah.
And it was just crazy. It was absolutely crazy. I had no idea what was going on. I think I'd read the story and it was just, yeah.
They're night and day, essentially. Well, I shouldn't say night and day. There are some very minor overlaying factors.
I mean, the story's not long. They get a lot of the events, the major events of the story into the movie, for better or worse.
True, but not the biggest reveal isn't in the movie.
No, that's there. Yeah, I mean, but the beats at least are there. But now this is my first time watching the director's cut of the movie.
Okay.
I'd only seen the theatrical cut, which is an hour and a half. So, and it's on HBO Max if you really want to try to track that one down. But anyway, they had to pull from two different sources to make the director's cut. They had that huge note at the beginning, the interpositive theatrical cut, and the original negative of the director's cut, which I thought that would mean the director's cut footage would be better. I didn't really notice any of the jump cuts they mentioned.
I didn't notice it either, but I feel like they made a huge. I think
they wanted. I mean, there are people who will notice. Grant, I was taking notes. I can't have fun watching movies anymore because I have to take notes now. It's work. And so I really must have missed all the jump cuts from looking down and whatever. And
I really didn't notice it. And even I was expecting it to be even a color differentiation. Differentiation, is that right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or someone in mid-sentence and then going and then cutting something. It wasn't that big.
Yeah, I thought the colors would jump or something,
Yeah.
or be more grainy or something.
I did not notice anything, unless maybe it was grainy when they were filming in VSI headquarters, but it was already dark.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I mean, the main thing I think was they couldn't do the original camera negative for the regular footage because then they'd also have to redo all the VFX, which they could use some redoing, but for Scream Factory, Shout Factory, they're not going to want to pay the millions of dollars to redo the VFX. So the interpositive is basically what you get after you have taken the film, put the VFX in, and now you export that out to basically an interpositive that's going to have all that built in. So that makes sense that they went off of that.
And now I feel like even the effects kind of make this movie a little bit more of what the movie is. The effects are so bad,
We'll get there, yeah. But,
I feel like they don't want to I feel like if they up the effects, it would kind of lose that like.
The charm.
Yeah,
the charm.
yeah, the charm per se.
Because, I mean, they're so bad, they're charming. It's not like, because it's almost worse when it's like they almost get there and they don't make it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, this is like, it's so kind of kitschy.
Well, and even nowadays when I'm watching films that like, back in the day when I was younger, I was just like, whoa, that was so cool, that was so lifelike. And then you watch it now and you're like, oh, cringe.
Not even close. Oh my gosh, what is this nightmare fuel?
Yeah, and I'm like, I feel like if they were trying to redo it, you could have had that feel where it's like, ugh. And now it's just, obviously it's fake. You've got obvious digitalization of random things, and it's just, yeah.
I mean, I was 10 or 11, like, when CGI, like, came onto the scene, really, so I didn't really have that. I didn't get a chance to really grow up with like kids movies that had a lot of CGI in them. So I've always been old enough to kind of notice the CGI, which I don't. But I do have nostalgia for just those early graphics of just like, oh gosh, guys, oh Lord, it's just bad. Now the one thing is, since it was original camera negative, that tells me for most of this footage is basically character building stuff and character development and conversations and things like that. And I will say the pacing suffers, but I felt like you got more of a journey in terms of like the Lawnmower Man character, Job, and like a little bit more of like his arc of what he turns into. Because the theatrical cut, the biggest thing I remember was like, you know, he's the Lawnmower Man, he gets the juice and the VR, and he gets smarter and stuff, and starts combing his hair and dressing better. And then they switch the formula, and he's evil Job, and it's all over. And it's just like, whoa, that was just a serious like whiplash. Like, oh my gosh, like wow. Whereas this is a much more a progression, for better or worse. But I mean, not everyone is asking for more Lawnmower Man, but I think there's more of you kind of understand what happens a little bit more.
I just want more grass cutting in this film. I want more grass cutting. I feel like for the title, and I haven't seen the actual, like, the box that you were talking about where you thought there was a bunch of negative space. I feel like if I saw that, and it was called The Lawnmower Man, on the box you see a man pushing a lawnmower, I'd be like,
there's also, like, an eyeball with, like, I think the gyroscope thing, and, like, a deal, like, a digital thing, like, kind of in the sky with the Lawnmower Man. I forgot about that part.
But even still, there is literally hardly any lawn mowing in this film.
Not enough lawn mowing in the Lawnmower Man.
Come on. I need more lawn mowing.
I wanted to smell the grass. I wanted the 4D experience of like the grass smell wafting into the theater. I could smell the grass
like we were talking about in our book review. I could smell the grass in the, like reading the short story. I could not smell the grass in the movie. So upsetting.
That's not what this movie's about, Leah.
I know, but I want it to be.
Well,
anyway,
the first thing we get though is New Line Cinema, the house that Freddie built.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, many people today associate Lord of the Rings and other things with them now, but in 1992, I knew them for two things: Nightmare on Elm Street and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
How's that for whiplash right there? I mean, just like Freddie and Turtles, like it's wild. Now, of course, I say that knowing that this film will combine lawn mowing, very little of it, virtual reality or VR.
Lots of it.
Yep. Telekinetics, literal cybersex in 1992, which, whoa. And a pre-Mrs. Doubtfire, Drive-By Shooting, pre-James Bond, Pierce Brosnan, which is so whiplash-inducing when you take that all together that I might be able to successfully sue this movie for damages to my neck.
So now let me tell you something really fast. I know that you said that you had watched Lawnmower Man before, and this could just be, you know, getting ready to set up, like Jesse was saying, this is kind of work when we're watching these movies. So as soon as I go onto Hoopla, I see 2017. I see The Lawnmower Man, 2017. I was like, whoa, this isn't a newer movie. There's no way. Forgetting that this is the director's cut, 2017. So I'm like, oh, all right. I'm putting it in. You know, as soon as I start up, it kind of has a GoldenEye feel to me, just because it's underground. That's where VSI is. I'm sure we'll get into that. But then I see Pierce Brosnan. I was like, did he get a time machine? What? And then I start.
Him?
Yeah, and then I was like, no, Leah, 1992. What is this? So if you see that 2017, and then you're starting to notice like some of these graphics are a little strange. Director's cut 2017. Movie 1992.
Movie old and busted.
Just to let you know, in case, speaking of whiplash, you have whiplash a little bit like what happened to Pierce Brosnan? What is this? Why is he? I mean, he's always a little chiseled. I'm not saying that, but he's like in his prime day. So just letting you know.
He's not Jeff Fahey ripped though.
No,
I mean, it was like, dang, dude, someone worked out and someone's just like phoning it in practically.
That is true, but there's one scene where he's like brooding and he randomly has his shirt unbuttoned just so you can see.
Oh, I mean, he makes that chest hair look good.
Yeah, but I'm like,
not every dude can pull off just the full-on chest hair, not care in the world. Pierce can do it. Now, okay, so there's opening text, which any good movie will have opening text, of course, claiming that in the year 2000, for all you Conan O'Brien fans, virtual reality, or VR, will be widespread and allow us to explore the entire internet in a weird emoji movie, Ralph Breaks the Internet kind of way, or maybe Second Life. I mean, I'm trying to figure out like what they're envisioning VR making the internet better because of. I mean, it seems inefficient to like literally have to walk from like one thing to another to find your search results. I couldn't imagine that.
Yeah.
Now, there are allegedly millions of positive uses for this virtual reality that they, of course, don't really go into. Or it could just be a new form of mind control.
Dun, dun, dun.
As opposed to the current or old form of mind control. I'm like, what? I don't understand. So a new that's positing that we are under mind control? I mean, I don't know.
I mean, maybe we are just... Have you ever had those dreams where like, maybe I am a sim? Like in The Sims, the video game, like someone's controlling me.
Yeah, we're not going to go down that rabbit hole.
I mean, we're already going to go pretty far down the virtual reality.
I'm just saying the
Mind
whole
control rabbit
red
hole.
pool matrix, yeah, we're not going down that rabbit hole. But the cool thing is, we have a nice choral soundtrack so far. I enjoy. I'm a sucker for a good little choral element to the score. And we are at Virtual Space Industries that has the same craptastic backlit lighting on their sign as the strip mall near 116th Street in Oleo in Fishers that makes it near indecipherable at night to like find what is this place?
It took me the longest time to figure out that it was Industries at the bottom.
And the font doesn't help and looks like 80s computer font.
Very much so.
And they also have a Templar-looking logo with like the circle and the cross. I was like, is that supposed to be like a Templar's running everything sort of like nod? I couldn't quite tell. So then we hear Pierce Brosnan's dulcet tones that let us know that he is against using whatever he's working on for war. But the guy with him reminds him that their funding comes from the shop. And I'm like, deep Stephen King connection, because the shop is a bad guy organization in his books, heavily featured in Firestarter and other things. So it's a nice pull to plant it in the Stephen King universe of just like, yeah, you can still take your name off this, but we got the shop in here.
We got the shop in here. But, I mean, I actually didn't even realize that, so thank you for pointing that up. I didn't even hear that part. So, yeah.
Well, they said the shop about 1 billion times.
I must have never made that connection. I don't know.
It's okay. I've never read Firestarter. It's just one of those things where I just know of the shop is a thing. So Brosnan's developed a super smart chimpanzee, Roscoe, using VR, but the shop wants a soldier, basically. So they want Brosnan to pump the chimp full of aggro drugs, which could destroy the mind Brosnan has worked so hard to develop, because basically he's made this chimpanzee super smart, and he's like so proud of like how well this chimp is doing, but they basically just want to be able to kill stuff good.
Yeah.
So now we get to VR first-person shooter Chimp Vision, and we have PS1 graphics for the win. Oh my gosh, it is.
It's pretty bad.
It's something special.
Bad. But like I said, it kind of reminded me of GoldenEye, and I don't know why. I mean, even when the chimp has the VR helmet on, it's like doing the targeting.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, whatever.
Yeah.
That wasn't GoldenEye-esque, but I feel like maybe just because it was in a seemingly dark basement. And, you know, I'm just like imagining myself playing. Yeah, I'm just imagining myself playing N64 again, like trying to beat my cousin in GoldenEye.
In a concrete bunker?
Well, yeah, like, don't you remember that Matt? Like, you're down and like it's all concrete.
Oh,
walls
I thought you meant literally you were in a concrete bunker playing GoldenEye. I'm like, what like basements or weird places where you hang
down there because
64, Leah. Like that's a sad
I had
childhood
to
right
be
there.
really good at GoldenEye. They just stuck me down there.
So within the game of GoldenEye, you're in a concrete gold.
Yes,
got it.
yes.
Okay. I was like, wow, that's dark, Leah. What did you make
Why are you laughing about that?
What did make you put that in 64?
No, in GoldenEye, there's like a concrete bunker type map where it's just nothing but concrete walls. And it's almost like a maze. There's hardly any graphics. It's literally almost Minecraft-esque. in terms of like the pixelated.
I mean,
blocks.
they want it to be cold and like steely, and we can tell this is the evil place.
Yeah, which is sort of why I'm glad that my mind went GoldenEye, and then all of a sudden Pierce Brosnan. So, you know, I don't know.
Word.
Maybe the synapses in my brain were just firing, and that's what it caught.
Fair enough. So we get glimpses of Roscoe in a gyroscope, kitted out in a Tron outfit. Oh my gosh, it's so great. Oh, he lays waste to virtual targets. This isn't a good movie. It's a great movie. Like, this is so crazy, like, from the jump. And then we see Jeff Fahey co-build. In fact, technically first, if you read from left to right in billing with Pierce Brosnan.
Oh, yes, that is true.
Granted, again, I mean, dang, but this was before, like, Brosnan's, like, 90 cents, I guess. And then we get kind of a dubstep drop into the title. Which I appreciate. I'm like, oh, Skrillex grew up with this movie. All right. So the chimp breaks out of his cage, and his VR goggles are more like AR goggles in a way, like because it's like he can see through them to like target and see what's going on. And I guess they like have glass that comes up and down and stuff.
Now, mind you, I mean, yeah, his glass does kind of open and shut, but I did get an Oculus for Christmas, and they do have a see-through. So like when you go past your border that you create, it's almost like a black and white grainy, I can see the people in my space around me.
Cool. Well, they thought of it in 1992.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you, Lawnmower Man. And then, you know, maybe Oculus creator, like you were saying before, watched Lawnmower Man and sparked his idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of these movies where it's like, yeah, like the Star Trek Communicator, like what tech people today like saw Lawnmower Man as a kid and thought, some of this is kind of cool. Let's do that.
But I did put on my virtual reality. I did put on the Oculus last night, and when I did that see-through, I was like, it's black and white, it's grainy. This is reminding me of Roscoe.
But was it painting targets and objectives and saying like kill and threat?
No, it was just you're out of bounds. You're out of bounds.
Oh, well, that's not fun. So he's grabbing key cards, making his way through the facility, taking out guards like a boss.
Yes.
And then a guard takes him out, it looks like, at least, right when he reaches the exit, and Brosnan wakes up in a cold sweat because somehow he's seeing this.
I've made a connection with that. We can get into that a little bit later, though, so just remind me when it comes to...
All right, I'll try to remember. Now, Brosnan turns on the TV to take his mind off things, and of course, every channel is war, 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 which I'm just like... But then I'm like, oh, wait. It's 1992. Desert Storm had just happened, and it would have been fresh in people's minds, and that was on like every channel all day, 24/7, like 91. So I guess that wasn't quite the weird thing I thought it was at first. His lady friend, I guess it's his wife, is super unsympathetic to his bad dream, and is just like, screw you, man.
Everything that he does is annoying her, apparently.
Like, what is happening?
But then again, she is mid-sleep. Like, I'm grumpy when I'm woken up during mid-sleep, too.
Sure, but it's just kind of super harsh, yo.
Yeah, he had a bad dream.
And later on, he does have a point that she doesn't seem to, like, care about what he goes through ever.
I agree.
Like, I mean, he is probably too married to his work, but at the same time, it's like, obviously that means it's important to him.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll get there.
Yeah.
But Brosnan witnesses his neighbor committing domestic violence against, I assume, his wife and kid.
Which is kind of hard to watch. I mean, I thought it was really hard to watch. And he's just sort of staring, like...
He's just looking and just like, that sucks.
Yeah, like he seems
He's not happy about it. He seems like really
No.
sad about it, but it's just like, that's just life.
He doesn't do
like,
anything.
dude.
He doesn't say anything. Like he does. I don't know. It was hard to watch for me.
Yeah, it bothered me. Then the phone rings, and his wife's mad that Brosnan doesn't answer right away. He's watching a dude beat his wife and child.
I know.
I don't know. And they find out that the chimp, I thought they said the chimp was dead.
I thought so too, because I was like, ooh.
It sounded like he was, but I think it was, he's going to be dead. Like, we need to kill him. We need to put him down.
Maybe.
But anyway, for some reason, the VR helmet picks out a church. And I was just like, so now is the movie just doing this now, like laying out VR and showing us things in VR vision? But I didn't realize the chip was still alive.
Yeah, it says sanctuary. So I was like, so maybe,
Is this medieval times? I don't think churches work like that anymore.
I don't know. I guess it depends on what he was programmed to learn. Maybe he was programmed to learn that churches are a sanctuary to some people, and that was just what. I guess.
I mean, so they label it with a church icon in the text sanctuary, and here we meet Job, spelled Jobe, as opposed to just, I guess they didn't want you to think it was job.
Yeah.
but that kind of loses the biblical possible reference there.
The entire time I was writing Job, the Job spelling of Job, in my notes, and then later on I had to go back and change it.
No, somehow I knew that from before, and Jeff Fahey, who plays Job, is going full Simple Jack.
Never go full Simple Jack.
You know, he kind of reminded me of, what's the guy's name on Mad TV? No, stop.
I didn't watch
Oh
Mad
my
TV.
goodness, what's his name? Don't touch me. I will think of it, because even his hair, even his bright, like, piercing blue eyes, he has beautiful eyes.
He will stare into your soul.
But yeah, everything. I'll have to figure that one out for you.
So they say the chimp is dead, but then Brosnan says he needs the chimp alive because it had a plan, and he wants to understand like how this chimp had a plan and how he's executing the plan, and we need the chimpanzee alive.
He's still in scientific like mode. I feel like
He
he
is,
put on his scientist hat.
But it's very confusing. They keep seeming to imply that this chimp is dead, but it's not. I'm just very confused by the whole thing.
Yeah.
At this point. But the VR helmet's now targeting Job.
Yes.
And it's like, oh no. So the chimp was only wounded by the shot the night before, and thankfully Job has nice eyes and thinks the chimp is Cybo Man, so he goes from a threat to a non-threat.
And at first I was trying to figure out who Cybo Man is. You come to find out it is a comic book character.
Yes.
So you're kind of realizing in the comic book, Cybo Man is a man, not a chimp. So
But he's got the cool helmet
I feel like
going
that's
on,
alluding to Job's sort of mental capacity as of right now, what he is thinking of. So he is just equating like technology as Cybo Man. Does that make sense?
I mean, the chimp's all kitted out.
Yeah,
so,
no,
it looks like he's
yeah.
wearing like a super suit possibly with the helmet
With
on.
the helmet, but
so he
I
does
just-
look very superhero-esque, but he's also a
He's
chimpanzee.
a chimp, and he's really small. And then you catch a glimpse of the comics, and Cybo Man is like larger than life.
Mm-hmm.
So I was sort of, I don't know, I was making a comparison. I was like, okay, so
I didn't look too closely at what
He-
Cyberman actually looked like. I was just like, okay, he's using his imagination to like see
Which
that.
he could have
Of
been.
course, he'd love to see if he sees someone who looks like his comic book hero. That'd be
He's
super
gonna-
exciting for him,
yeah, oh,
you
yeah.
know, especially because it seems nice enough and doesn't seem like it's going to hurt him.
And good thing his pupils didn't dilate or were dilated.
Whatever that,
or
you know, the
whatever
nice
it
eyes thing. I'm
was.
just like, dude, thank
No,
goodness
that's
you were
right.
chill, like, or whatever. I mean, geez.
I figured he would have noticed that right away because he was trying to feed him like, do you want a strawberry? Who's back there?
Yeah, you think the programming would be like, okay, he's obviously like not threatening you with anything.
Yeah, he doesn't have any
He doesn't
weapons on him.
Yeah.
He's not, yeah, but good thing. Good thing he has beautiful eyeballs.
I guess so. But I guess everyone calls Job the Lawnmower Man because he fixes things and mows lawn better than anyone else. He also doesn't lead with the lawn mowing
Yeah.
because it was like his fixing ability seemed to be
Hit-
highlighted versus his lawn mowing, which I'm just like, it's the Lawnmower Man. Like, make him primarily a lawn mowing man.
And that's not it, yeah.
But then again, the movie doesn't do that either. So,
true.
I mean, I guess it makes sense. So let's see here. Now, the priest in this church is angry with Job for missing something in his church cleaning duties. And then the priest sees the chimp with Job and narcs on them.
I can't stand that priest.
Yeah, so the chimp is killed. The shop bribes the priest to cover it up by offering to donate money to the church. Of course, we'll
Of
donate
course,
money
which
to the church.
everything, you'll catch that, everything, like, oh, you give me money
Charity
to the
is
church?
a
Sure.
holy act, so that
Yeah.
works. I'm just like, oh my gosh. So the priest beats Job to reinforce this order of silence. Then Brosnan has a computer audio journal that might as well just have Clippy like on the screen. Like it's got a clock.
Booting audio journal recording.
I'm just like,
Recording.
what is this cheesy computer program of just like,
I don't know, and that's when you
it's
see
so
him,
low tech, high tech that it's all the way around to charming.
he's
like
just brooding with his shirt unbuttoned, just
cigarette, just
cigarette,
like,
drink.
oh Pierce. I mean,
He does do brooding very well.
Oh, he
I'll
does.
give him that.
it's apparently the lowest point in his career and his life.
Oh.
It's like, dude, okay. So then, alcoholic landscape guy who turns out to be the priest's brother stops by to get Job for work, and of course he's Irish. I mean, full on Lucky
Very
Charms.
Irish.
Like, I hope he's actually Irish and his accent's for real, because otherwise, I'm offended
Well,
for
and it
Irish
was-
people.
I feel like you live in the top of a tree.
It's weird because I didn't hear the priest having any sort of Irish accent.
He mentioned like his no good brother, but yeah, the priest has
Yeah, he
no
mentioned his
accent,
no
so that's
good-
where I'm just like, where's this Lucky Charms coming from? Is it the alcohol? Like if you don't drink, then you lose your Irish accent? Like
drinking
I mean,
alcohol turns you Irish. Like I don't know.
or keeps you Irish? I don't know. It's
But I
problematic.
So Terry is the brother's name, and he is the sweetest person ever, which is so weird because when the priest is talking about him and he says his drunken,
No good drunken,
brother. I'm like thinking like, okay, these two brothers are gonna pretty much parallel each other. I don't like this priest, but he was the sweetest man.
Yeah, I was worried
He
he'd be abusive in a different way or something, but yeah.
He really cared for Job, and he was giving him compliments. Like throughout this entire movie, he was trying to boost Job.
He's got Job's back and wants him to live his life, to live his best life. You know?
Be him, be comfortable in his own shoes. He can do anything he wants to. He's constantly praising him throughout Job's entire journey in this movie.
Yep.
So sweet. And I just love the fact that he's like, oh, so Job's sitting there and he's putting ticks on a chalkboard because he's doing his repentance.
Penance, yeah.
Is it just penance?
Penance. Yeah.
He's doing his penance per the priest's whatever punishment.
Orders, yeah.
And so you realize that he can't really read or write very well, which is probably why he's using comic books, because he can follow along the story just using the pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And Terry's just full on like, oh, what has my brother done to you again? Like, what are you doing? And then he sees, dun, 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 Big Red, the lawnmower that he has put together. And he's just, all of a sudden, he just goes, your capacity for fixing things is great. Not mowing lawns, not lawnmowers, but just him being able to fix things.
He has a natural proclivity, like he's almost kind of a savant in terms of mechanics. Which, I mean, Rain Man had come out and won Academy Awards, so I don't know if it was trying to lean into, like, he's on the spectrum as well as possibly being mentally handicapped, or...
Maybe, but they don't really bring anything else up besides that one line.
And Big Red's tiny.
And Big Red is super tiny.
It's tiny.
In the short story...
My mower is almost that big, and it's just a push mower, like, I don't...
In the short story, I was, like, picturing
those
those
huge... double-bladed, like, huge...
monstrosity things, and it's just like, I mean... With like two little exhaust spindles up top, which I don't really understand.
But it's got the spinning reel on the front.
I was happy with that.
It's awesome. It's a perfect choice because we needed to have that.
Know, it is a good-looking mower. I'll give him that.
Yep. And easy to get the red off. Anyway, they don't do anything with that, but we'll get there. Now, Pierce Brosnan's starting to leave the shop, and they suggest it may not be healthy for him to do so. Brosnan claims that virtual reality is the key in the evolution of the human mind, and I'm just like, gosh, I hope not. I really don't want to have to wear a doggone helmet all the time. But they go to a gas station, Job and Terry, to fill up, and gas station butthead is a butthead to Job.
Yes.
He smokes by the pumps, and I'm like, ooh, that might come back later. Another butthead drives up to ask about the ruckus at the church, and they all laugh at Job, and he says they killed Cybo Man, who they know as an imaginary comic book character, and it's just, they're just awful. They're the worst.
It makes me so mad, because Job is literally the sweetest guy. He doesn't do harm to anybody.
Nope.
And that's what bothers me so much. So the gas station guy's name is Jake. And I just wanted to punch every single time I saw him. I wanted to punch him in the face. Every single time.
He does have a very punchable face.
He does.
And a punchable look.
Just his
shirts,
whole demeanor.
Smoking,
yeah, and I'm just like, Job's not even doing anything bad. He's actually trying to save you because you're smoking by gas. He's not trying to.
And you're the one that technically like owns this gas station, or like you're working this gas station, like it's your dad's or whatever.
It's his dad.
You know, you don't want to work there, but it's like you also don't want to blow it up.
Exactly. Stupid Jake.
Ugh. Well, then the shop admits that there's no Project 5, which is what went wrong, without Brosnan. They decide he'll come back one way or another. But now Brosnan's home enjoying some VR R&R.
Yes, he's on a hiatus, technically. He didn't want to quit.
A sabbatical or something.
I don't know. Now, I will say this VR setup in his house is a little weird. So instead of having, what did you call them? The circle,
the gyroscope?
Yeah, instead of having the gyroscope.
He's got a lawn chair?
He's got a chair that's
chaise lounge.
Somehow floating.
A hammock chaise or something.
I was just really confused.
Flying.
It's really confused by that. And then this whole floating simulation in VR, it does not look like real life. You're floating with these metallic bubbles around you and...
It doesn't look like anything. I think it's more about the feeling. Now, the whole thing is kind of way too close to the toys VR scene, the Robin Williams 1992 huge mega flop toys, where he's like the head of a toy company, and they have a VR helmet that they're like, whoa, whoa, they're like flying down a roller coaster and they're like whipping around and stuff like that. It's a little too close to that sort of thing of just like, oh, the crazy sensations. It's going to feel so real in VR. But he does have, I will say, he has like gloves? Haptic gloves and stuff. And so I think that all that can help, and him being suspended in that chair thing helps him feel like he's falling or flying and to a degree. And so he could get a relaxing sensation of flying through this computer simulation. but the graphics are so bad that wouldn't cause me any like relaxation whatsoever.
No, and it also said flying and
Falling. He's like, I want to
falling.
fall, and I'm just like, who wants to
Falling
like
would
fall?
be horrible. How is falling relaxing? Like,
I guess if
how?
you're in control of it, maybe in terms of like, I mean, people really get a high off skydiving.
But wouldn't that be flying? I just don't. That's. I
it's
mean,
kind
I
of
guess
you're
you
falling,
are right.
and
I
you can
guess you're
kind
right
of-
with skydiving.
I mean, it's kind of close. Flying. I mean, in space, you're like basically the whole time you feel like you're falling. You have to get used to it.
I don't know. Maybe I'm putting on my own fear of. I don't have a fear of heights. I literally have a fear of falling. So I feel like that would be.
That's interesting.
That
Okay.
would not be. Yeah, I used to like climb stuff up, and then I'd scream for my dad to get me down because I did not want to get back down. But I was such a climber.
Gotcha.
So yeah, horrible kid. But anyway.
Nice.
Yeah, I feel like that would just not be relaxing whatsoever.
No, it doesn't help that his wife pops the disc right in the middle of his session, ruining the whole effect.
I love that because I'm like,
He
what
just
a
got started. I'm just like, he just ruined the whole effect.
Well, I was like, and it's not like he's in the middle of like a game where you're literally just like falling with nothing going on. That's what I don't understand. I don't understand. But anyway.
And he's also getting a little too uncomfortably relaxed. Like he's really a lot of moaning, and I'm just like, dude, like, what are you doing?
I don't understand.
But
that
she's
either.
also giving off really strong Luke Skywalker. I was gonna go to Tashi Station and pick up some power converters.
You said you were gonna take me to the city this weekend.
You were saying you'd take me to the city, wah! And I'm just like, lady.
Yeah, and even
like,
he kind of gets. Now, mind you, Dr. Angelo Larry, which is Pierce Brosnan's character.
he's Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah, he doesn't get snippy really with her. His only time that I've ever heard him get snippy was right there where he's like, well, you should have reminded me. And then she goes, well, I did. And he immediately is, I'm so sorry.
No, he immediately, like, Mia Culpa is just like, oh, you're right. Oh my gosh, you
Yeah,
did. And
like-
like hugs her and is super sweet.
That's what I don't understand. I was like, lady, you've got like this scientist husband dedicated to his work. Yeah, I'm sure that the long hours can be annoying, but he seems to really care for you. In the very beginning scene, he was trying to like wake her up real gently and just be like, hey, I had a nightmare. Console me, cuddle me. You're the one that I want to seek to.
Right.
She is a turd. She is a turd. I don't understand it. But anyway.
But it's one of those things where she just doesn't get any of this stuff. And that's gotta be hard when
That
your
is
partner's
true.
doing a job where you're just like, I just don't get
You
any
don't
of this.
understand.
It seems like you care more about these computers than me or real life. And I mean, with VR, I mean, kind of the whole thing is to create this virtual reality environment that you like live in, and that is a huge part of your life that is not tactile and being a part of the real world. So what is the end game
And that is true.
of his research into VR? Like that we're just gonna live in a cyber world
And
for all time? Like
And I do feel relatively soon after this, she like gets all spruced up and she's like, I'm going into town with my friends, like having a girls' night. So I feel like in her mindset, she is very much so a personable person. She wants to have like lively interaction with a real person, and he is more living in this virtual world. So I see that juxtaposition.
and
with
she
that.
wants
So-
to have like people over. I'm sure she wants to entertain. She wants to be like a
Yeah.
socialite type of thing. And he obviously is not that person. So I don't know
No.
what she was expecting when she married this dude. Now we finally get some big red lawnmower action, and the neighbor lady, the one who's being abused by her husband, invites Job over for some Kool-Aid with her kid, who is friendly to Job and is psyched that he finished Big Red, which I love that all these people are so supportive of
I
Job.
feel like the entire community is so sweet. Well, I mean, give or take a few little turds again, like,
Right.
like the gas station Jake and the other
But the
guy.
people who are like nice to him, like aren't just kind to him. They're genuinely like supportive and like psyched
Yeah.
for him that he like accomplished making this mower. Like
Which I believe that they said something in the beginning where he does mow most of the grasses, or most of the lawns, most of the grasses, goodness gracious.
not all the grasses.
Not all the
Kentucky
grasses.
bluegrass, forget you.
There's a few of them. He does mow most of the lawns in the neighborhood, so maybe the people that he mows the lawns for are like
You understand? He
understand
works
him.
hard. He does a
Yeah,
good
he does a
job.
good job.
Like he's trying to make the mower
He's not trying
better.
to hurt anybody. Yeah, he has a goal, like to fix this big red.
Like
which
he's not a
obviously talked
layabout.
about.
Like he gets the work done.
No.
You know, like anyone else, he gets his job done. He hangs out. He reads comic books. It's great. I mean, what's wrong with
Yeah,
that?
and he's like super sweet to Peter, the next door neighbor boy. He's super sweet
You guys
to
are both
him.
into comics and things.
Yeah,
That's cool.
it's like I feel like that's like one of his good friends besides Terry, his boss,
Right.
the priest's brother. I have this feeling that he has a connection with Peter.
Right.
So-
And then Pierce Brosnan's looking out the window, and he has a great white short, gray sock, dark shoe polo thing going on, which only Pierce Brosnan can even halfway pull off. And he watches them work on the lawn. And then I'm like, wait, is that the kid from Last Action Hero?
Ooh.
Yes, it is.
it? Hey!
Austin O'Brien. Before Last Action Hero, which came out in 1993. Boom, he's in this movie.
Hey!
Oh my gosh.
Climbing up that ladder.
Yeah. He's also in Prehysteria around the same time, a Charles Band full moon production.
Now, can I also, you mentioned the music before. There is like some sweeping, crooning music going on
I didn't know
that
some
kind
music
of
here.
reminded me of like Pleasantville type, like,
Oh, that's probably the vibe of just like a nice
this is so great.
suburban
Everybody's
enclave.
happy.
Yeah.
But I was just like, this is very, they played it kind of loud, so you almost couldn't, I mean, I could hear the people speaking, but it was just so loud where I was like,
Gosh, I missed
are you
it.
trying to set the mood? Like, are you really trying to set the mood so that later on when, like, bad things happen, are you going to be playing this, like
a counterpoint or something?
Yeah, it was
Huh.
very strange.
Okay.
Anyway,
And so the dad isn't just abusive. He thinks that mental handicaps are contagious because he's like, get away from him. You know, do you want to be stupid? And it's just like, whoa, dude.
yeah, when the dad comes
Whoa,
home,
dude.
it's just instantly, like, you just get that.
I mean, man, what a
gross
winner,
feeling
right?
in your
I mean,
stomach.
jeez.
Yeah.
And Brosnan just stands there again. He's just like, that's so sad.
Yeah.
Nothing I can do. I mean,
I don't know. I mean, I
Man.
guess maybe he's an observer by nature or something because
I guess this was
the
before you could
scientists-
like call CPS or
true.
like, you know, and be like, hey, I think there might be something going on here. This family might need some help. Like, it's not looking good.
Just
Like,
that
I don't know. I
whole-
mean,
his dad, Peter's dad, like the next door neighbor, is just so. Ugh. Anyway.
Oh, it's awful. So anyway, Brosnan's wondering why the chimp seemed to bond to Job, and wonders if Job was more pure or something, which that doesn't really go anywhere. But it's just kind of like, okay. And so he and his wife are having huge communication issues. And then the neighbor lady offers to let Brosnan borrow her son whenever he wants. And I can only hope it's to get him away from his abusive dad, because otherwise it's really weird.
Really weird.
To say something like that.
Really weird.
You can borrow, like, because they talk about, like, is he going to have a kid or something like that? He's like, yeah, with my work, it just won't work. And he's like, well, you can borrow mine anytime. Just like, that's super weird.
did you
I
kinda
would never
see-
say that to anybody.
Did you kind of see that setup? Well, she's trying to tell him, like, you'd be a great dad. You should think about having
I
kids.
get it. I get it at the end.
You
It's
can
like it
borrow
sets
my
up.
kid whenever you want. I feel like it's like she wishes that she had someone like Dr. Angelo. Like,
Until she marries him and realizes, oh, he's going to be in the basement working on VR all day, and then he's going to have the same situation all over
but
again.
At least he'd be playing with Peter and having fun.
Until Peter's like a petulant teenager who no longer wants to play the fun games. Like, I'm just done with this, man. I'm going to go out and hang out with girls or something.
Just go the exact opposite way. I hate games.
You know, here how mad my mom is. Maybe you should get off of the games and go hang out with my mom some. That's,
I don't know. But yeah, I saw that.
but he does get offered Kool-Aid. Joe gets offered lemonade. You know.
Yeah.
There's a whole ladies offering the drinks, future relationships thing going on, beverages leading to things.
Foreshadowing.
Anyway, so we have Kung Fu Cyborgs comic. That's a little problematic, but anyway, looks a bit like the guy from the shop, and so he sees the cyborg as a bad guy, which I'm like, so Cyborg Man is a good guy, and this guy's a bad guy. Wasn't quite sure. I guess because he's bald. Bald is bad.
And you know, I was trying
Bald
to think,
bad.
like, maybe he was saying, I don't know, maybe he was seeing, like, this other character as being the people who shot Roscoe. Like, maybe he was trying to just equate, like, no, he's a bad guy, or like trying
But
to
the
put it
guy
in
who
his
shot
head.
Roscoe wasn't bald. Bald, like, I don't know.
I don't know either.
I mean, the bald guy stood out, I guess. But yeah, so the gas station bully strikes again, scaring Job and mocking his love of comics and his handicap. And Brosnan decides he needs to work on a human subject, and it's a good thing his lawn needs a mow again already, because Job is at it mowing.
Yeah.
And so Brosnan offers to let Job play a game. Do you want to play a game? Anyway.
Which yet again, so he invites Peter and Job down to play this virtual reality, and now all of a sudden he's got like these. I'm just thinking of Dave and Buster's, where you're on the motorcycle like type thing, and you're moving around with a virtual reality helmet, and you're flying. I don't know. I was
It's
just
like a
how-
hovercraft game from the 90s, like Descent or something like that,
Yeah.
where it's virtual reality where you're flying.
But I was
I
like,
couldn't tell,
where-
are you first person or third person? Because we're seeing it from a third person, and like from angles where I'm just like, you couldn't possibly play this game from the angles they're showing for the most part.
Exactly.
Because it's like, you do get that first person perspective of like trying
Then
to
you get
avoid
the third
obstacles,
person.
and then all of a sudden it's like you're off to the side, and I'm just like, is that better be like a cutscene or something?
Or maybe that's like Pierce
Or we're-
Brosnan's like can watch it from the screen. Like,
I don't
it's,
know. I mean, obviously they're trying to make
casted.
it like not just a first person, possibly make people dizzy. So they're trying to like change it up so you don't like get nauseous, maybe.
Well, what I want to know is where were those two setups before when he was in his floating hammock contraption? Did he
One
just like?
of those were his floating hammock contraptions. They were just sitting in them on their stomachs now.
Oh, see, I thought he
'Cause
had
he was-
one of them
he was
in
in
like
the
a
hammock
hammock.
back. Yeah,
And
no.
then all of a sudden he
they're both
pulled
in
out
like a
these
hammock
like.
setup.
Oh, it looked like
They're just facing
like
forward.
It looked like
A chiropractor table kind of thing?
no,
Or
like a
traction
motorcycle,
table?
like a Dave and Buster's when you're on the
No,
motorcycle
they're
and you're
laying
moving
like
back and
they're
forth.
laying like on like the hammock setup.
I don't know. I don't know.
I got the vibe, or it was more like a platform, like a traction platform looking thing.
I was just thinking, like, where did these even come from? Like, hold on, let me get out of the storage unit.
But those look like they could fold up and like move off to the side. They look foldable.
They looked like they were huge honking
But then he doesn't
things.
do that game first. He has Job do like a pattern IQ test, and
Oh,
Job
that's
is
right.
able to get one right, which is a progress, I guess. But we aren't here for learning. We're here for extreme VR flying with the neighbor kid. That was my note there. But the kid's too fast for Job, who lags behind and crashes right before the finish line. At least he makes it almost to the finish
No,
line.
that's true, but he gets really hard on himself. He seems like he doesn't look in their eyes, and he seems like he's really upset.
Well,
that
the kid tells
didn't
Job, the
finish the game.
kid's this is so sweet to him. Like
He
the kid's like, it's okay,
is.
Job, it's all right. You know, the games, you get better, you have to get used to it. But Job's discouraged, and then Brosnan tells Job he has a game that might help make him smarter.
Yep.
But only if Job wants to, and only if Job keeps it a secret. I'm like, well, at least that's
At least he's
half
getting,
ethical.
Yeah, he's getting his consent. At least he's like,
Like, if you don't want to, we're not doing it, which I do appreciate, but at the same time, keep it a secret, which I'm just like, that's a little...
Yeah.
I mean, don't granted, what are you going to tell the priest and it's never going to happen? Like, I get that he has to keep it a secret, but at the same time, just like, yeah.
that's true. And then like he gives him that. Is this where he gives him the shot of vitamins?
He will, yeah. So he works out an arrangement with the priest and his brother, Terry, for Job to
Saying
help
he's
with
remodeling.
renovations. So he needs to give Job a shot of vitamins, which I'm just like, dude, I guess Job understands vitamins and they're not a bad thing.
I don't know, but even at the same time, I was just like, but they're not.
But there goes the ethics. I know, there goes
vitamins.
the ethics. So I was like, dang it, dude, you're doing so well for
Yeah.
the most part. But yeah, so I guess strobing random crap in VR stimulates the cortex question mark?
I don't know, and like all of the things, all of the flashes of pictures that you saw, it made it almost seem like
It looked like an X-Files opening credits scene or
witchcraft,
something.
alien, hieroglyphics, like.
Yeah, I don't know what. Like, is this supposed to be like supernatural? That
Yeah,
you're like,
yeah. I was just like, what? Demons?
It just
What
seems like a
is
good way to give
this?
someone seizures.
Exactly, which.
It does happen later, but yeah. And, you know, and he's like, it's too late to turn back now. Now, the other neighbor lady, single, very single, widowed,
Lots of money.
rich widowed married lady, starts scoping Job out from her balcony without him really changing at all. He's still
Yeah, he's
the
just
frumpy,
sitting there.
overall, baggy, everything,
I will say though,
unkempt hair.
they said it twice during this whole thing, and then they kind of stopped it, where he was like, I'm so hungry. He kept hungry. Going back to Velocipaster.
What?
You went hungry.
But
Oh,
he
Leah.
keeps saying that he's so hungry.
Right.
Like, and he was like, I'm hungry. And then he talks about how his mind's like a sponge. And then he says he's hungry again. And then you don't hear anything about hunger after that.
Well, Brosnan does say his mind is like a clean, hungry sponge.
Ooh, okay, all right.
So
right.
he's hungry for more. So Job's responding even faster than Roscoe the chimp. And then finally a seizure happens.
And Pierce Brosnan seems to really care about, like, he fully stops.
Well, dude, if the dude dies in his chair, he's in serious crud.
I mean, yeah, but he definitely seems like, Job, okay, no more after today. Like, he does seem to be like, he knows
no,
his own
he is
limits. He's
caring. He
not-
also understands, though, that he'd be in deep, deep crud.
I mean, I'm thinking of, like, we just reviewed Reanimator. So
Right.
I'm thinking about, you know what I mean? Like, him not caring about any sort of subject whatsoever.
Well, we know he's not a Herbert West guy.
But back, you know what I mean? But he's
Yeah.
he's caring. He's like, no more today. He even tries to like stop it, where he's like, yeah.
Okay, yeah, all right, fair enough. Now, the priest is not happy that Job is reading books, and I'm just like, he couldn't read before.
Why?
Like, come on, dude.
Yeah.
And Terry tells him he needs to stand up to the priest for himself. And so
And
that's
Terry
kind of
with
like,
his back. He has his
yeah.
back.
Well, kind of, but not to the extent that he's going to actually. He does stand up to him, his brother, a little bit, but at the same time, it's like,
Barely. He also doesn't stand up to Jake. Terry is just like, here, have some nectar of the gods.
well, he tries to diffuse it and get him to get off
Yeah.
Job's back because he doesn't want Job to get beat up.
Yeah.
And he knows that he can't beat Jake in a fight.
It's true.
And so he's doing what he can to diffuse the situation. But at the same time, it just feels like he's kind of placating the bully.
I agree.
I understand that's what he has to do because it's the only thing he really can do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it still feels like, come on, guys. Like,
Yeah.
and I think it's also a little bit of the product of the time. Just like, bully's going bully, and that's just how it is.
The only way to stop bullying is if you do it yourself. Like nobody
That
really.
or
yeah.
bullies are just always going to bully, and you can't win. And it's like, well, that's not
No,
right.
that's
You got to
not-
confront bullies and let them know it's not okay. Anyway, priest brother Terry is going to teach him how to drive, and then Job just takes
Drives?
off, and he's he's good to go.
Yeah, he was just like, okay, let's go. And then he brings up a word, which was so weird, like the quadrilat or something. He uses a really long word to...
Something about mastiff? Was it mastiff or something?
Yeah. He's to talk to Terry, and then he just jumps in the car and like he knows how to turn. He drives off pretty quickly.
He's great. He makes the turn where he should. I mean, he's driving a little fast, but it's like there's no like stop start. Like the truck looks like it has a shifter, you know. So it's like nothing, no struggling with the clutch. Like,
is he just like assuming it's like virtual reality again, where you just jump in?
Or is it the mechanical savantism combined with his brain boost a little bit that he's watched Terry drive the truck enough that he's got it?
I didn't think about that, but that is true. It could be.
So between observations, his inherent mechanical prowess, and then his increased mental capacity at this point, that he's able to just make it happen.
Just go, yeah.
So then he finally wins the VR game with the neighbor kid, and
super excited about it.
The kid's like,
Whoa, that was sketch.
"Whoa, that was sketch." And I'm like, is he trying to make sketch a thing?
I don't know.
It's just hilarious. I mean, I've never seen Mean Girls, but
I was just very saying it reminds me of Mean Girls. It's so fetch. Like,
is he trying to make sketch a thing?
I don't know.
It's so sketch. I'm like, that's bad, dude. So now Job is shirtless and looking buff. So I guess it isn't just his brain that's getting a workout, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I love that they she's all that him, like completely. Like he's got the baggy overalls, the baggy shirt, the unkempt hair, and then it's like...
And he picks being like a cowboy, too.
Yeah, he models himself after the Marlboro Man, which I'm just like, dude.
Yeah, like with the cowboy boots and the tight jeans and the tucked-in white shirt.
Yeah.
I think that part is really cute. I was just like, oh, he's like picking someone he's trying to model himself off of.
But Job is caught by the priest, and he wants to be more independent, make a life for himself, and he stops the priest from hitting him at least.
Yeah, which I was like, good for you.
Yeah, I have good for you, Job, in my notes. All right.
Like, there
We're on
you
the same
go.
vibe there. All right, cool. Yeah, so now Brosnan heads to the shop to get permission to use the main lab because he's basically done what he can in his basement. Baldy thinks there might be a way to do this without the large organization getting wind of it, but of course we can't trust Baldy. He's
Of
bald.
course. Well, yeah. But no, I also thought that was kind of funny too, how like he's like on this hiatus, but he's still working, which I mean, he's a scientist dedicated to his work. But I would not be spilling my beans to this company who killed Roscoe, wanted to weaponize him, all of this, and then he just goes back to him, he's like, hey, I'm working on a human subject, but I need the lab. I would not be telling them that.
But he had no way to sneak in. He had no way to do anything other than like try to figure out a way to low-key involve. And then he's hoping, all I can think of is he's hoping to find a way to either extricate himself once he was able to make the progress he needed to, or that maybe they would change their ways or they wouldn't go off and possibly risk having a homicidal episode with a human being.
Maybe, I don't know, but still, I feel like that was just bad judgment on Pierce Brosnan's part. I mean, not on Dr. D'Angelo's part.
I mean, this whole thing was a bad judgment in the end.
That's true,
but in this case, I mean, there's no way to make any more progress.
Yeah.
I don't understand why, because he could have brought those CD-ROMs home. He could have, I don't know what the gyroscopes did. I don't know if there's more like, they can flash more things faster or something with like the computing power at the thing. All I can assume is that the gyrosuit, because we'll get into what the gyrosuit does, but I have a feeling that's more along those lines of like having that full suit and the full immersion
The full effect
is what
of
is
it,
going to make the difference to get him to the next level. But
I don't know.
But first, the neighbor lady on the balcony, the rich widow, is scoping Job out and sees
Job's
him in his new clothes, hair's combed. She is into it.
Job's looking fly. He is ready for it.
I mean, they have totally, she's all that at him, and it is hilarious. So Terry is psyched for Job, but the gas station bully Jake is angry and starts to take it out on the brother, and Job stands up to the bully and gets punched. But Job gives the bully a look that might as well be a punch.
It was so funny because right when he did that, I'm a huge Rocky fan. It's one of my top favorite movies, I know. But I was just like, that's the eye of the tiger. He's giving him the eye of the tiger. He's going to come back for him.
That's a song, not a thing.
No, I know, but
Okay.
Rocky gets the eye
All
of the
right.
tiger in Rocky 3. Like, he does that.
They literally say, this is the eye of the tiger.
No, but that's what everyone alludes to when Adrian's like, you can't do it. And he just shoots her a look. That's the eye of the tiger. He has that
What's
determination.
that look, Rocky? The eye of the tiger.
He does
The what?
that.
The eye of the tiger.
It's a pretty good slide.
Bully like is actually taken aback, which I'm like, that's really lame. But then I'm like, oh no, wait, this guy has never looked at anyone like that before, and this guy knows it. Like he's known Job for years, probably.
I feel like this is literally Job. Like, okay, you just did this to me. Maybe I can't do anything now, but I am taking this memory, filing it in my brain, coming back to you later.
Yeah, and I mean, if he threw those blue eyes on me like that, I would be like,
Yeah.
I'm out of here. Later.
Talk about piercing.
I know, right? Speaking of Pierce, Job asked Brosnan if he's going to do to him what he did to the chimp, and Brosnan's like, it's going to be different. They're not going to tell me too, right? And it's just like, oh man, okay.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
at
he's
least Job is
already
already
making
like
those
aware
connections.
of like, yeah, this is possibly dangerous. So apparently your entire nervous and endocrine system, just those two, will be in sync with your brain expansion because basically the full cybersuits that you wear in the gyrosphere allow your whole body into cyberspace, question mark?
Which I don't understand that. And I also was like, why are they flipping around? I was trying to think,
And is that a good idea?
maybe they're trying to like mess with your equilibrium so you don't know what's up and down unless you're in the virtual reality space.
I think it's supposed to be like it's giving you
And
the
like
weightless
total
feeling
floating, yeah, like
of like you're floating in the cyberspace.
I don't know.
I mean, it's just hilarious that it's 1992 and like AOL discs haven't even been sent out yet to anyone. Like, it's really wild that they have all this stuff that's like, it feels so kitschy and kind of like what we have now in some ways.
Yeah.
It's like, this is 1992. Like, this is weirdly prescient stuff.
true.
Like, I
That
mean,
is
it's super
true.
kitschy, but I'm just like, dang, some of the stuff like cyberspace, like all the stuff like we talk about, like, anyway.
Literally right after this, so there is a thing on the Oculus where you can have like a virtual reality sort of open rec. I think it's called Rec Room, where you can like meet other people and you have an avatar. And I immediately deleted it. I hadn't even used it, but I immediately uninstalled it because this movie, I was just like, what if this is happening? What if this is gonna happen?
New form of mind control.
Oh my gosh! Pretty soon they're gonna come out with a suit. I'm gonna be wearing a Tron suit here soon.
I want a Tron suit. They're awesome. I wouldn't look good in a Tron suit, but Tron suits are great. But isn't it a good idea to have your endocrine system and like your nervous system tied into this virtual reality setup? Now, are there needles going into Joe's brain, or are these virtual injections? There's like injection, and it's just like, to what? To where?
And I did
to
see like they had like a
bundle
bunch
of wires, but
Yeah,
that
and
looked like it was just wires to the helmet.
Yeah, but I was like, is the helmet like? Does it have those little sticky suction cups like the on his brain?
Is it needled into your skull?
Yeah,
is
like
it...
how are you feeling these things? Like how is that even working? I don't know.
I don't have much time to think about it because then we get shirtless mowing with Buff Job. And
So calculate that into the 60 seconds of cumulative lawn mowing. There you
go. And Job can now hear thoughts. And those thoughts are the widow neighbor lady wondering if Job likes lemonade. I think her thoughts are running along different lines than if Job likes lemonade.
Yes.
I think he'd be hearing something else, but oh well.
But this is the first glimpse of him kind of getting like the supernatural-esque, like,
yes,
how is
like, wait, he can hear thoughts?
Wait, what? And at first I was thinking, like, is she like projecting her voice somehow? Is there like an amphitheater in her? Like, I didn't catch it at first. Maybe, I mean, I might have been in the midst of taking notes and on a different thought path, but I was like, how is he hearing that? Until later I was just like, oh my goodness, Leah.
And I love Terry so much in this scene. Just like,
Oh my God.
oh, would you look at that?
Yeah, and he's like, go up there.
Job, go, you fool, go.
Go on, you dolt, go on.
Go get that lemonade.
But like, he has his back.
Like he's on the clock.
Yeah.
It's like, no, go get
and
lemonade.
that's his
Like,
boss.
stop the mower. Just go.
And he tells him like he's trying to be like, go act like a regular.
Go be a regular man.
Yeah,
like it's like that's so like funny and like kind of heartwarming in a weird way.
In a weird way, yeah.
Go have sex on work hours. I'm just like, what in the world is
What
this?
is this? Now
But
I
it's
will
also
say,
charming in a way. But yeah.
the next scene was a little awkward to watch. It was strange.
But it's one of those things where I mean he had no experience.
I mean, they did show that quite.
He barely
like,
probably even talked to a girl, let alone
Yeah.
anything else with a girl. So I think it's one of those things where she seemed very sweet and
did.
very like, okay, I understand where you're coming from, and
let me show you the way.
And and she seemed to do a good job of walking him through it, and they both seemed to have a good time.
Yeah.
And there you go.
There it is.
And yeah, they both were into it, and that's important. So anyway. Brosnan's thinking it's time to scale back the VR and do some good old-fashioned CD-ROM learning with the unnecessarily complicated setup with a head tracker and a flying mouse and a chair on tracks.
That's what I mean. Why
A
couldn't
flying mouse?
Why
Couldn't
couldn't
you
you
just
have
use the
done
head tracker? What's the head tracker for?
I
Couldn't
don't
you like
know.
blink and like click the mouse? Like
Yeah, I don't understand. I was like, so he puts this thing over his eye, and he's saying that it's
he's literally holding like he's
But-
like basketball palming this
Yeah.
mouse. It looks super awkward.
It was very strange. And then again, I was just like, why couldn't you have done this at your house?
Yeah, but he needs the track and needs the thing. But I love that Job moves the teaching to ludicrous speed, just how I like my audiobooks. See,
Which is
way to
insane.
maximize your time, Job.
Insanity. Sometimes you have to be able to enjoy it, Jesse. Enjoy. Like someone speaking to you.
Well, I love how it said, I figured out how to increase the baud radius. It only took 2 minutes. The baud radius?
I don't
It's just
know.
playback speed. It's not like you
Yeah.
have to increase the bandwidth of the... They know nothing.
I don't know.
Anyway, but Job scores 100% on the test, so it wound up working for him.
And he
The
says
slow speed
actually-
was only putting him to sleep, which I'm just like, that's cool because there are different learners.
That
where
is true.
It's like there are people who would do better when you have to slow it down, and there's nothing wrong with that. Some people need to have people slow down, and
Yeah.
we need to be okay with that. But other people need it faster, and we need to figure out how to accommodate them. And it's like one of those things where that's really kind of actually a cool thing. Where
Yeah,
it's
it
like,
definitely is.
It kind of worked for him. And
But his
this is what
mom
he
is-
said for slower absorption. He's like, well, like what? Like reading a book. And I'm like, maybe some books, but I like my books at almost 2 times speed. You know? Yes. Pour more words into my ear holes. And then he's like,
What I've learned in virtual reality makes books obsolete.
and I'm
Which
just
is
like,
kind of
oh
like,
my god.
oh my goodness. But everything that you're learning is probably in a book somehow. But then I'm just picturing him like flipping through something
Well, I just think
really
like Johnny
fast.
Five in Short Circuit was.
Yeah, done.
Yeah.
I read this book at a stoplight. Sorry.
That's what I think of
Parks
myself.
Parks and Rec job.
Oh.
Or Parks and Rec joke.
Nice. So Job's giving up comics, which you're just like, oh no, he's gonna lose that connection with the kid. But then he's like, I'm gonna give my whole collection to you, and the kid's like super like, yeah. And I was like, that's super
and yet
cool.
Again, that's really sweet of him.
Yeah.
He still
He's
hasn't
not like
lost
these comics
his...
are dumb. I'm just gonna dump them in the trash, and the kid's not gonna be like, oh, can I have them? You know, like he's
Yeah.
actually thinking about like, you know what? These are beyond. I'm beyond these right now. But you know, the kid that still loves them, I'm gonna give them to him.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
and
that's
it
cool.
wasn't like he was.
I like that.
Yeah, and I was just like, okay, so he still has his
He's not
humanity.
like I'm too smart to be your friend anymore. You know, I'm beyond you. Like it's
he
it's
still
cool.
has his humanity, definitely.
Which is neat. But then he has a
he-
seizure in the diner, yeah, and now he can hear everyone's thoughts.
Which would be horrifying if you think about it.
It's a Professor X
Horrifying.
problems. Like
I
it's one of those things
know.
where it's like in the origin of Professor X in X-Men comics. Like you understand, like when he first started hearing like everyone's thoughts, like it almost
It's
drove him off the
overwhelming.
edge. Yeah. Excuse me. He goes to see Brosnan, whose wife thinks he spends way too much time with his computers. That's what he's literally thinking because he can hear her thoughts.
Downstairs.
Probably, yeah, with his computers. And then Job uses all his concentration to block out thoughts of others. And so it sounds like a Professor X problems with my notes. So the shop now knows about stuff. And Brosnan's boss will have to be persuasive in the extreme to get Brosnan to use the original Project 5 formulas that sent the chimp into violent frenzy because, again, they need him to be PewDiePie and killing tons of things versus
Yep.
just figuring out how to develop the human brain,
Which
which
yet
would be
again-
which would make you so much more money and make you so much more powerful if you have like the educational platform that everyone's going to want to use that is like, oh my gosh, are you telling me that we can all have like almost unlimited human brain potential of like knowing everything and being able to move stuff with our minds and like oh my gosh, are you telling me that like you would have the corner on that market?
Why does everything have to go like straight to military? I'm gonna make him like the world's best super smart soldier.
I mean, there's tons of money in that, which I guess is what they're pointing to.
but they're trying
I'm
to
just
Captain
like,
America
oh
him
my
in
gosh,
an
you could
evil way.
totally market even just like not even like the high end of this, like just the low end of this. Oh my gosh, like
Yeah.
human potential. I mean, granted, once everyone's smart like that, then I guess, but then you'd have the next kids, and you'd have to
The
keep.
next, yeah, you just keep on
And
going.
how can you get the knowledge done sooner and things like that, and then you have like younger people entering the workforce,
Yep.
which that will be a whole other ethics issue. But those things where there'd be so much money to be made, like crazy money, and there's no need to be clandestine. Like once it comes out, like.
There's always evil people in the world, Jesse. That
I
just
know.
wanna put.
That's not the kind of power they're looking for. So the boss swipes out the new vials, the blue vials, for the old stuff, which is blue to red. So you think Brosnan would notice
Well,
that?
you'd think Brosnan would notice that, and you'd also think Job would notice that for how
at
smart
this point.
he is.
But I don't know how much he looked at he never didn't inject himself till later, so maybe he didn't even know it was blue or notice it was blue
I don't know.
at the time. But he also changes the computer software to run the old programs. And again, you'd think Brosnan would notice immediately, because I'm just like, those programs are all like first-person shooter-like
Yeah.
games. But then once the programs go, they're not that. So I guess it's just
more
different
hieroglyphics,
symbols.
more, yeah.
And so it's just like, I didn't see a difference. But then Job's endocrine system rises to fatal levels, and he says that he saw and touched God.
I touched God.
Which was
Whoa.
creepy in itself.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just the way how
it's almost
he
like a
said
Lovecraftian
it.
thing of just like, yeah, I saw God. It's like, oh my gosh, like, what'd you see? Like, what'd you do? Like, what happened to you? Like, that's wild.
But this is when Dr. Angelo is just like, I'm putting a stop to all of this. He's like,
Yeah,
I
he
need to
blames
stop
himself for pushing Job too far. I mean,
until I figure out what went wrong. I don't want to put you back in there because he doesn't want to harm him. I feel like he's seeing Roscoe dying in his mind. He's like, this is a human. I care for Job. I'm putting an end to this until I can figure it out. We're not doing anymore. But of course, Job, now all of a sudden, he's been unleashed. He's unlocked his mental capacity, so now he just wants more. He's hungry.
I guess. I mean, yeah, he and the neighbor Larry are still having fun, and then Job can now move stuff with his mind. I mean, he's both Professor X and Jean Grey,
Dun, dun,
which I'm just
dun.
like, uh-oh, that's not going to end well. We all know the Dark Phoenix saga. And now he's listening to heavy metal,
Which is
according to
so
the
funny.
subtitles and captioning. I'm just like, I don't know about that, but now he's edgy.
Yeah, I was just like, what is this? And for some, and I know yet
I mean,
again.
he's full creepy dude at this point now.
And I'm just like, what happened?
Which is a little bit of a jump, but he got the red stuff injected.
I know,
mean,
but
that's what it does. Like it
Speaking
makes
about
you
red pill, blue
evil.
pill. Ooh.
I know, right? Oh, there
Yeah.
you go. And unfortunately. Anyway, Brosnan is skeptical about ESP being a dormant function. I mean, he does like understand that Job can seem to appear to read thoughts, but he doesn't believe it's a latent ability that we've lost or something like that, or that telekinesis is possible. And then Job gives the example of a study where people raise blisters on people's hands just through suggestion. And after Brosnan leaves, he raises a really bad CGI-looking blister on his hands, and I'm like, wow, that's breathtakingly bad looking. I mean, especially after watching like Reanimator, like, could you imagine if it was a practical like effect,
Well, and
like
then I
a
was
fake
thinking too,
hand,
I was
and
just like, why would that be what you wanted to do to test on it? Why couldn't it be like, I want to see if I can grow an extra finger or something? He just
Well, it's
puts
one thing to
oils on
push a
his
glass with your mind. It's another thing to alter your
own,
hand
yeah.
into like exploding into blisters. Like
That's true.
that's physical. Like all kinds of chemical changes, like other things that have to be done to the skin to like make that happen.
dope.
That's more than just moving something. So I think he wanted to prove to himself that he's at that level.
able to do it.
Yeah, and so then
Like, change your eye
Job
color.
has a great idea to take the neighbor lady to the lab for some good times, for some literal cyber sex, which is just like, holy cow. Kudos for getting there in 1992.
I feel like that was almost sort of a slight on her. Like, was he trying to make her be smarter too, or was he just wanting to go for it to see what it was like
I think he wanted to
doing
like.
it in cyber, like, or was he trying to impress
I think
her?
I think he would maybe a little bit of both, or like something like. I think he felt like she wants new experiences. She wants to experience. I mean, because they got a point that she's like been with like every guy in town.
Yeah.
After her husband died, and so like maybe he's getting the vibe that she wants to try anything new. So it's like, hey, this is totally new. Like this is top secret. So obviously no one's ever done this. So let's both get into this thing. And it's like a beautiful. They form a dragonfly together, and it's kind of like a cool, interesting visualization of all that kind of thing of like their minds like kind of melding and things like that. And it's interesting. It's all PS1 level graphics, but it's kind of like, well, that's kind of fun. And then he's like,
also where we get the first time of Job like not being able to control.
well, then he's like, goes like, I know what you really want. And I'm like, a weird PS1 graphics Men in Black alien reject vomiting blood?
Yeah.
Just like, "Ugh,
Well, I was like,
more blood,
are
ugh."
you?
Just like, what
and then like
is-
she's stuck in goo, and I was like, what?
What is
Why would she ever
happening?
want to be stuck in cyberspace goo? I'm really.
Not even that, but being vomited
And
blood on by
yeah.
like a weird alien-looking creature? I'm
And
like,
I was
what?
like, I don't understand. I don't know.
I mean, not to shame anyone's kink, but that's a really
That's-
specific,
yeah.
weird
I
thing.
didn't
mean,
understand that. I just feel
And
like
she also wasn't instinct to be into it. And it's like, dude, like,
she's saying like stop.
yeah, like,
get me
dude, like
out.
that's not what she wants.
don't want
Obviously,
this.
you misread whatever you thought you read, dude. Like,
And then I was trying to think, like, is he trying to like spew intelligence on her or something? Like, is he trying to make her
I
have the
don't
same
think
mental
so.
capacity as he does? And it's like too much too soon, where it wasn't gradual. Like he wanted her to be.
but you think he would be like flashing the symbols or like,
That's true.
or something like that. Like it'd dial back to
know.
like instead of like the blood particle, whatever he's like spewing out of like the tentacle mouth thing, it would be like those symbols coming out of it, or like his eyes would be like those symbols would be emanating. Or something
Yeah.
like he's trying to like get her to be more on his plane. That would have been interesting. That if he's like, okay, now I want you to help make you more like me, so you can see like what I see.
So you can see what I see
and
or
like,
something.
And
but-
that's where it like makes her lose her mind, because it looks like Job may have broken her brain.
Yeah.
But the thing is, then he's like, oh no, I trusted, because Brosnan and Angelo had said nothing could hurt you in VR, which I'm just like, but how many times had Job has seizures like in the
Yeah.
suit and like bad things can happen.
That's what I didn't understand. And for him, all of a sudden being wicked smart and being able to
wicked smart. He's from
wicked
Boston
smart.
now.
But I just didn't understand. I just did not understand that part. I was like, you think that he'd be able to foresee what was going to happen, or like, did he just get carried away?
Prescience, I don't think he doesn't. He can't see into the future.
Well, no, I know that, but I mean, like, just being able to make those steps. Like, oh, I had seizures before. Oh, you know, I'm all of a sudden just plunging her in this.
Right.
And even if she's not liking it, I'm not going to stop. So is that like sort of like he is now going mad? Is that where that complex
mad
is
with power
going in?
kind of thing.
Like,
but then he seems super
slowly
sweet to her
rising.
when she seems broken and like whatever, and like that he realizes what he's done. But at the same time, I think it's that power hungry that the red juice gives you of just like power.
Just
But then I think he came down from that when he realized that she was her,
yeah.
and so
Well, kind of, but then he just
chemical-
takes her back home, and it's just like,
Yeah, he leaves her to her own devices, and now we get the Stephen King short story in the middle of this movie for a hot second, where he's controlling Big Red with his mind now. And so yeah, we get a taste of the short story. Job is telekinetically lifts a chair for Brosnan, and the boss at this company witnesses this, Baldy.
Mr. Director.
Yeah, after he tells Brosnan the doctor needs to go to D.C., Angela needs to go to D.C., so apparently VR is helping Job reclaim ancient lost abilities that the alchemists and wizards of yore use, which was like, okay.
We just forgot over time.
Over like a few hundred years?
Yeah,
That's
that
not
was
how
like-
evolution works, I don't think.
How is there not documented, like, I just don't understand.
There are the stories. Like, I'm just like,
but
that's...
it's just so... It was a stretch. It was a
Yeah,
stretch.
so now Brosnan is terrified of Job, as he notes in his log.
Yeah.
I was terrified of him as he's chain smoking. And now the learners become the master, and Brosnan fears for Job's sanity.
Now, is Job the one who actually says, like, I'm smarter than you now?
No, but I just had that vibe of just like
he's surpassed him. Like, well,
and now the learners become the master.
What would you do now that I've surpassed you in intelligence?
He does mention that I've surpassed you, Dr. Angelo.
Yeah.
He does have that line. But Brosnan found out about the Project 5 switcheroo in a shop meeting, and he goes ballistic about it. So the shop will keep an eye on him, and now the boss has spilled the beans about the other abilities to them because he made the mistake of mentioning that he can do this. And after Brosnan leaves, the shop guy's just like, what are his powers again? It's just like, so you're telling me that you've created a telekinetic, telepathic super soldier.
Yep.
Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
why
awful.
did he have to even go there?
I know.
I'm just. Anyway.
It's terrible because technically this guy's the head of this company, not the shop. No, he's not necessarily part of the shop. Basically, the shop owns them. Yeah, which is kind of weird and sucks. But so Job self-administers 3 vials of Project 5 into himself in the lab.
He is going like crazy. Like he is almost manic. Like just chew. Like
just one after the other.
Shooting them into
like,
his neck, and then all of a sudden he
dang,
has
son.
like this weird like reaction, like overdose. I just kept on thinking that from Reanimator. Like he's just
like that's where you have the throbbing techno music coming.
yeah.
Overdose. Oh, and his suit glows.
He's-
Like
yeah,
that'd have been
it's-
awesome.
It's like all of a sudden he's reached his.
I wish it would have
zenith,
gone to those
like-
campy heights in that part, but so Brosnan questions the ethics of all this for the billionth time. I'm just like, dude,
Yep.
obviously at this point, if you've had to question the ethics of all this so many times, pull the plug.
It is bad.
But then the boss comes into the hotel room and tells him the concept of dirty money went out the window when the Catholic Church got into banking 300 years ago. It's all dirty money. And I'm just like, whoa, we got some big digs at the church in this movie. It's like, wow. So the shop showing up to grab Brosnan, who punches out the boss, nearly makes his escape. Brosnan gets to the basement where the shop corners him. Brosnan gets to drop on him, and he takes their car. Nice. I thought that was fun.
Yeah, and I thought it was really funny too when that whole lady, he's like talking to her about how, or he's trying to get a car, and she's like, oh, well, I have to check and see. And he's just,
Oh man, with like the printouts, I'm like, oh, that printer!
Yeah,
oh
and
my
it's-
gosh, it's such a blast from the past.
but
Like,
I love how like he stood there for a hot second, like waiting for this, and finally when he gets
this
one,
is like
it's
belongs
printing.
in another movie though. This is like a caper, like Ocean's 11. Like, come on,
And
like the
as
tension,
soon as it
like
can happen, he goes, no, never mind, and
like
runs
credit
away.
card, rental car tension feels like it belongs in a different
Yeah.
movie, but it's kind of fun here.
It is, and of course she calls out his name like,
Hey,
Dr.
you left your credit
Angelo.
card, Dr.
Like,
Angelo, credit card, Dr.
yeah.
Angelo.
And of
I'm
course,
just like,
it's just
oh
like,
my gosh.
no.
But he's still able to get away. And then we cut to the church, and Job has gone bye-bye.
Yes.
Because the priest is doing his thing in the church, and then
Job is just like, you've been a bad boy. Or I don't know exactly
and
what
he's in the
says.
balcony, and like his suit starts glowing up, and he's not plugged into anything.
No.
And his eyes are all wild, and he dissolves the priest in He Who Walks Behind the Rose VFX. More CGI, but this time it's CGI is sort of optical, but it is still bad.
It is really, really bad. And I was like, so is he being swarmed? Oh no, he's catching on fire. Like I couldn't even tell. It was just like little. I was like, I think
is he
orange and
being
red dots
eaten by these dots?
are
Like,
fire? Or
is he just gonna like disappear? Like, am I? But apparently he's being immolated by this CGI paint.
Yeah.
It's
just, I mean,
it's a thing.
as long as you know, like, priests go bye-bye. That's pretty much what the whole thing is.
Priest is gone.
He
Yes,
is no longer
yeah,
around.
He is dead. And then we get to the gas station where the bully's smoking. I'm like, oh, here it is. The bully's smoking, and the gas pump's gonna come into play.
There's the eye of the tiger.
And I am too tired for this lawnmower man.
He's ready.
But he takes out the bully with some gas pump foo, which is kind of charming. Puppeting gas pumps and like hitting him with them and tying him up with them. And then he mows his brain?
I don't know. And he was like, now you're a lawnmower man. Now you know how
Well,
it
he's going to
feels.
basically destroy his brain, so he's going to be like a vegetable, basically.
Well, I was
is what
trying to think. I
assume.
was like, so is he saying you're going to be lawnmower man? Like he's just going to continuously feel like his brain is being run over by a lawnmower over and over again on repeat?
Or he's basically taking away any intelligence, any whatever that the guy has. So not only, he'll basically be like catatonic, not even like mentally handicapped like Joe.
But that's the thing, like that would be really sad because he's putting now you're lawnmower man, which is what he used to be called. So I feel like he's putting himself down. Like he's like, well, I was not as superior as I am now, and I hated my old. I don't know. I just felt I was like, you're kind of.
No, I'm gonna make you like I was, and I'm like, that's really that's like nastily
like,
evil, dude.
You
like
were really sweet when you were yourself. Like I don't.
I thought he was gonna like. I just thought it was gonna be like he's gonna spill gas on the guy and he's gonna catch on fire. But I'm like, I guess that would have cost too much money.
I don't know.
I'm just like that would have been better versus like making the bully
and this,
not smart or something.
And this brain lawnmower segment again was
hysterical. That was really fun, cheesy, like the rotary blades carving up the guy's brain, and it was like. I was like, I'm not mad at that graphic because that's like weirdly charming and unsettling. Like it was actually really kind of unsettling. Like, oh gosh, the vibe of that, the idea of like him chomping up the guy's brain, even like figuratively with a lawnmower.
Yeah,
is...
and mind you, like we're saying, like it obviously was CGI or digital. It wasn't a real. Like this movie doesn't really have a whole lot of gore in it.
I'll put the graphic in it.
Yeah.
There's like no gore in this movie.
No gore.
So then we cut to the neighbors with the wife, the kid, the abusive dad. And basically, Job winds up putting the mom and the kid like to sleep. And then, so we can finish up the short story segment by killing the abusive husband-father with the mower.
Which is exactly what happened. Well, not exactly. It's not the abusive father.
No, but it's like you hear the mower and then it like breaks into the house.
And then it's just like eating stuff up as it goes along, like destroying the house, eating an end table, it takes down the door.
Easy chair and like.
And this guy, I love it because he like jumps up on the couch and he's just like freaking out. And I'm trying to imagine myself like, you're just sitting there. I feel like he was drinking a beer or something.
Right.
Just flipping through the channels, channel surfing, all of a sudden lawnmower comes in and starts eating up your house. Like I was like, what would I do in that situation?
But then I started thinking of like your what are those little vacuum cleaner robots?
Oh yeah, the
like imagine that, but it's like the lawn mowing robot, but it has like the rotary blades on the front, like breaking into your house. The Roomba, like your lawn Roomba, like has rotary blades and accidentally is like, oh, I'm in an interface with the interior and I'm going to vacuum your house with my rotary blades.
Horrifying. Horrifying.
But anyway, he actually really does a good job of evading this mower for a hot second, especially because I think he's drunk. But anyway, he runs out the back.
Outside.
Yeah, he gets outside, runs down the stairs, but the mower like basically leaps into the air, comes at him, and we cut. And it's like, are you serious? Are you serious? This movie's obviously R-rated. Why in the world?
I mean, it could have been the funds.
Anything?
Maybe they didn't have enough money, or
I think it's the MPAA. Again, like in 1992, this is around the time the MPAA was being really hard on horror movies, especially with like gore and stuff like that, and it was really easy to get an X rating.
Yeah.
And so I think they're just like, you know what? We're not going to show any blood whatsoever. We're going to imply it later, But yeah, I like
Yeah.
that. There was fun practical destruction with like the chairs and
Oh,
stuff,
yeah.
and I
Oh,
was like,
yeah.
that's kind of cool, like the stuffing flying, so that kind of thing.
But the lawnmower flying through the air, I had to burst out laughing. I was just like, flying mower.
He lifted the chair, and it was
I
coming
agree.
off this. It
That's
wasn't
true.
like
Maybe it was
unmotivated.
ramping out.
It was a speed ramp where it's like that's a flat ramp. That's not going to get you airtime.
Yeah, but he seemed further back, like he was up against a tree. Just the mower.
Well, I mean, Job just picked up the mower with his mind at
with
that
his
point.
mind,
I mean,
it's fine.
So Brosnan comes home to police tape around the neighbor's house, and man, the guy who plays the lieutenant was in so many movies back in the day. I'm like, who is that guy? What all has he been in? I feel like he almost always plays a cop too. But anyway, there's the line.
Where's the rest of it?
Bird bath.
You said a bird bath?
Bird bath.
Directly out of
Yeah.
Stephen King's, which I was so excited because I thought they were going to show it. I was so excited because
or like
they
even
don't-
just like a hand in a baggie, like a severed hand in a baggie or something,
They
like
didn't
something.
show anything, which I mean, I guess maybe.
Again, I think they didn't want to give the
I don't know.
MPAA any reason to slap them with an NC-17 or an X or whatever, and they just were like, it's easier. Let's just not show it. We'll imply it. There's body parts in the bird bath. That's pretty gross, right? But people
you
were
don't
initially going to
see
come to a
it.
Stephen King movie, and it's like, what are you
Yes.
doing?
Now, mind you, that is exactly Jesse was saying before. It's line for line, pretty much what is in the short story. So
which
that
is kind of
where,
cool. Yeah.
That is where we get like the yay, and then nothing else. I was so upset. I was like, couldn't you like even just further expand on the short story by showing us the bird bath, by seeing something that was going on? But no, we just go straight to Job staring at the police officer, mind controlling him, and just thinking
Right.
like, no, it's not murder. It was an accident.
Accidents happen.
Accidents happen. Lawnmowers just go chase after people
Which
and
is pretty
mutilate
cool.
them.
I mean, he's standing there like in front of Brosnan's house, looking evil, and the cops stare at him, and they kind of like tilt their head, and then look back and like, accidents happen. I thought that was pretty cool.
It
And
was.
They did a really good job with like, oh wow, he's like totally inceptioning them.
Yeah, which it was kind of funny too, because Pierce Brosnan's just like, what? What?
Accident?
What?
Yeah.
What? So.
And then Brosnan goes into the house, and Job has turned Brosnan's wife into a Stepford wife.
I have that in my notes,
She's like
too.
totally like in the 50s dress,
Apron.
and the hair, apron, cooking. Like, can I whip you up something, honey? And it's just
Yeah.
like, dang.
Like, what?
What
this
is
the same
happening?
lady? And at first it was just like, why would Job want to do that? Why would he think to do that? Because I hadn't heard Dr. Angelo even talking about his wife, and then I realized, oh, well, he heard her. He heard her saying she's only messing with computers when he originally came down there. So maybe I don't know, was he trying to do
I'm
something
gonna
nice?
teach you a
for
lesson,
Dr.
or is
Angelo?
it
Was
like?
he trying to like full on? I don't understand that part.
I think it was like she needs control to a degree, and also maybe it was just like, I'm gonna do you a favor, man. Like,
I don't know. I'm gonna do you a
she needs to
favor
be
and
more
then
attentive to your needs,
and
but
then
that's not how to do it.
rope you up downstairs.
Well,
like,
no, I think that's when okay, you're not on board.
yeah.
It's like, in the story, the lawnmower guy's like, oh, you're not on board. Okay, sacrifice time. It's like, okay, you're not on board. I'm going to tie you up.
Tie you up
It's
and-
like, you're not on board with my plan, because he basically, Job says, I'm going to cleanse you of this diseased planet. VR is going to be everywhere. And then Brosnan says, you're having delusions. And I'm like, yes,
Yes.
you are, because
Very much
VR is
so.
not going to be everywhere. And then Job's like, once I enter the neural net, my birth cry will be the sound of every telephone on the planet ringing in unison. And I'm like, okay, that's goals, I
Yeah.
guess. I mean, I'm just
Well,
like, that's
I was
really
trying-
your
I was trying to think, and I was like, well, how other way would he be able to communicate to every other person? This is still when like landlines, telephone, all of that stuff
But
was
were
kind
they
of.
all? Was every phone attached to a computer at this point?
I mean, it was
Of just,
attached to
like-
some sort of energy source, landline, some sort of mainframe.
But no, but like that ones and zeros were gonna, his ones and zeros in digital form were gonna like. Excuse me, because there are still got to be just straight up copper line telephones that may or may not be hooked up
Yeah.
to a computer. I guess maybe this was at the cusp of where all the switchers were now run by computers. That's all I can figure is that I have to assume that basically all the switches are run by computers. All those computers are connected to the internet somewhere.
Well, at first I was thinking, I was like, you have all these abilities, so I guess. Well, anyways, I won't spoil it because there's other things that happen towards the end. So never mind.
Cool. Brosnan's wife gets a gun out of the door, and I'm like, holy crap, I don't remember this. I have no memory of this. She takes out a shop guy who's on the balcony before getting gunned down herself. I'm like, dang, that's dark. Whoa, that's dark. So Brosnan has to watch all through VR vision, which I'm just like, oh man,
to
you gotta
watch
watch your
this
wife
happen.
get taken out in VR goggles, like while you're strapped, tied up, nothing you can do about it. I'm like, that is nasty.
That's really hard. Yeah, that's. Ew.
Oh man. And so we get a giant Job head, giant Job head appearing in front of the shop guys on the lawn, who open fire only to be turned into Mentos, time cop style.
Mentos, the fresh maker.
Woof, the CGI in this movie.
It was so bad. I was like, so they're little like
They're little Mentos flying
little
around. Where's the
things
Diet
flying
Coke? Bring out the
around.
Diet Coke. Put them in a Diet Coke.
explode them. But I was like, but what's he gonna do with them? Is he like metabolizing them? Is he putting them
Well, I
into
thought he was
the
like
virtual
basically
world?
just pixelating them into nothingness is
Into-
what I was thinking. But then they keep like constituting, reconstituting, swirling,
Yeah.
whatever. Eventually they disappear. But like the boss guy later, it's like, I'm like, oh, he's like torturing him. Like his particles are like, I couldn't imagine how much it would hurt to feel like your body is like,
Yeah.
all I can figure is like he's being tortured of just like, you're being ripped apart, put together, ripped apart, put together, ripped apart, put together. Like that's all I can figure is
It was
what he's
so
doing
weird,
there.
though. It was so weird. I don't know. Anyway,
I
his
just love the little Mentos flying around. It's great. And the shop witnesses all this. And so by 2001, everyone on the planet will be hooked into the network and into Job is basically what they're saying is going to happen. And he's like, I'm sorry you hate what you've created. And then he grows grass up around the bodies of Brosnan's house, which I thought was kind of fun with the lawnmower connection. The last lawnmower connection I think we'll get,
Yeah.
really. So the shop believes Brosnan created an energy weapon somehow.
Which he really is.
Or are they blowing smoke to get the guy to get the research offsite before Job shows up? That they're just basically trying to say like, I think he's created an energy weapon. Let's go ahead and let's get all his stuff loaded. But they actually know that like Job is trouble. Job's going to be here. We need to get this stuff out of here before Job shows up because they know he's a big problem. But anyway, Brosnan's working to hack the mainframe at his lab, which I'm just like.
See, and he's able to do that from his home.
I know he's a tech guy.
And he's putting a virus in there.
But how would the shop not be tracking what he's doing at home if he has direct access to the lab? Because again, the internet's not ubiquitous. I'd imagine he'd only have that line because of work to be able to interface there. But then why couldn't he run the work programs from their mainframe to his terminal at his house if he has this connection to them?
And could have been able to surpass all of this to begin with and had Job just been at his house and had
Right.
BSI not know what was going on. I have no idea.
So basically he's trying to block Job from getting out though. He's trying to close every outside port.
Yes.
Which, wow, does this place have a lot of ports?
Yes.
I don't know anything about networking, but I don't think most places, especially in 1992, had this many ports
Like
in and
hundreds
out.
upon hundreds, thousands.
Like thousands of ports.
Yeah.
That's a lot of ports.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'm wrong. But
it was connected to like the military somehow. So I mean, you
guess.
don't. I don't know.
And then Brosnan finds some explosives in the shop truck, and then Job sends virtual bugs and the guards to distract them.
Oh no, but
But he goes to Terry because Terry.
He like mentally connects with Terry and tells him to come to him to pick him up in his truck, which I
just
thought
like,
was weird because I was
why?
like, couldn't you just like
You could just
Magneto float there or something?
You could just like call a car and surf it, like you're surfing the internet.
I feel like maybe he's like comforting with Terry. I don't know. But Terry is so sweet yet again. He's so sweet with Job. And then all of a sudden, after the bugs swarm the guards because they're trying to get into
They
VSI,
got there, they stop, and then a guard ends up killing Terry.
Which
and
is so sad.
Job gets good revenge though by forcing the guard to off himself with his rifle, but
That
it's
is
still like
true.
too little, too late. It's like, man,
Yeah,
dude, why'd you even bring Terry?
Yeah, why did you have to do that to him? I was very
Yeah.
upset. I was very upset by that.
So the boss is working to delete the data, the director guy, and Job destroys the offloaded data, and Mentos is the boss, the fresh maker, again. And while Job's in the gyrosphere, Brosnan starts studying the explosives.
Which
and
I only saw him put one bomb down.
I think you're supposed to
Like imply that it was
he put
more
a whole
around.
bunch.
Because I thought there was just one bomb. And
Well,
then,
I've got questions about the explosions. We'll get there.
Yeah, okay.
But so the mom had driven Brosnan. Like he's like, I need to borrow your car, and they must have been like, we'll drive you.
We'll drive. Yeah,
we
exactly.
don't trust you. We'll drive
But
you.
obviously, he's in some sort of like frantic mode, and she's like, "Oh yeah, let me put Peter in the car. Let me bring my son with me." I don't.
We'll drive you.
Like,
My husband, his father, just got destroyed by a lawnmower in our, and parts of him were in our bird bath. But we'll drive you to work.
Yeah, I don't.
It's so weird.
I don't understand that. And then somehow
The conversation. Like we don't see the conversation because I don't know what a conversation would look like or be like.
Well, and then she falls asleep again, and not from Job's will. Like she's just
been
a
through
tired
lot.
lady.
She's been through a lot.
Yeah,
though.
that's true. I mean, I guess
in the
maybe
last
she
24
just
hours?
her brain just needed to shut down and reboot. I don't know, but I was just like, how does this lady constantly like? That's just her thing.
But I only think about that now because Job is now completely in the net. And we have the gnarly thing of like seeing his suit like empty, like as like his
which was really cool.
part of his body and or essence.
That was
I don't
really cool.
understand exactly how much of his physical form winds up in there. It's really I don't know why it would take your
Well,
physical body.
I don't know.
It's
unless
really weird.
It's like a soul thing. Like I don't
guess.
know. I don't know.
Now Brosnan jacks in as Job futilely searches for a way out. And Job's like, you need to be led. It's a basic need. So he doesn't see, this technology being able to be used to benefit humanity. It's just we're all a bunch of sheep, and we need someone to lead us, essentially. And then Job crucifies Brosnan virtually and says, I am God here. I'm just like, dang, this got weird and interesting. Okay.
And it's so weird because Job also knows that there's bombs there.
Yeah, he's able to read Brosnan's mind and hijack in that, but he can't stop the bomb because he lost control over the physical world once he switched over, which I thought that was a fun rule.
I agree. I thought that
rule.
was a pretty cool thing. So all of a sudden now Job isn't all encompassing. Like he can't control the things that he used to control. So was it a good move for him to be uploaded into the mainframe? Should he have just stayed like powerful Job in the physical world? He could have done crazy things. But yeah, now he's limited to this virtual world, which I guess he does think that everybody's going to be uploaded into the virtual world.
But he's doing it too soon in my mind. It's like one of those things where it's like in hindsight, it's like, dude, you should have waited like 10 years.
Should have waited.
And but now the kid's in the lab because the mom fell asleep, and the kid's like, I'm gonna go see what's up.
Yeah, I need to go help.
Yeah.
What's going on
Dang
with
it,
Job?
kid. Anyway, Job has a crisis of conscience and releases Brosnan so he can save the kid. They barely make it out dodging explosions. Now, it's full on like a self-destruct sequence was set that's exploding some of the building.
See, well, that's the
But
only
the
thing.
bombs were all set. I mean, I know the bombs were staggered technically in timing because he set the bomb, hit
15,
the timer. Yeah.
go back
And so I guess that's
15.
why they're going off at different times. But then again, it felt like only some things were going off certain places, and then the mass of them go off later, which makes no sense to me.
I don't understand. Maybe at one point in time he's just like, oh, I'm sick of setting them every single time.
I'm just gonna
set all these and then
over
lay
here,
them
yeah.
out. Like I
It's-
don't know.
It's really weird.
But you do have that like stereotypical like running from the explosion.
Yeah,
oh,
and diving.
it hit
I'm just
me.
like, oh my gosh, like it's pretty great. And then Job finds a back door.
He finds a port out of the mainframe.
A back door, and I'm
And
just
of
like,
course it's
which is
in
cool
the-
because back doors do exist,
It's
but
in the nick of time too.
right before, yeah, and he's able to get out. Or at least it looks like they, and then at least it looks like they blew up a physical model of the lab.
Yeah.
It still looks a bit bad.
Yeah.
I wish it looked better. I don't
but-
think they quite filmed it correctly, but at least it looked practical. And Brosnan plans to continue his work underground to avoid it falling in the wrong hands. I'm like, dude, learn.
So and then my thing too is, did this happen like right when we get back into Dr. Angelo's basement and
Yes.
you see the neighbor and Peter standing there, and it looks like Dr. Angelo and the neighbor lady are like, oh, now we love each other.
Now
I
we're
kind
gonna
of-
be a family
yeah,
together.
I kind of got that vibe, but was that directly after the explosion or had some time passed? I was
I think
very
that's literally
confused by that.
they've gotten. I mean, because the shop's going to come snooping around,
Yeah.
and so he knows he's got to get out of there, and so it's like they went back to his house to get whatever, just the things they need,
Just to get whatever.
leave, because the shop's going to be all over his house and all over the place, and so
Yeah.
they need to get away. So this is like as the sun's coming up, I think that next day,
Because I was very confused, but I thought the ending to this was perfect. I did.
and then the phone rings in his basement. And then a phone rings upstairs, and I'm like, how many lines do you have, Dr. Angelo? Because basically, then we see places all around the world with the sound of phones ringing, which I'm like, this is a great use of stock footage. Like, you never have to go to
You
any of
have,
these
like, a
places,
picture of Big
like
Ben,
London,
the Taj Mahal.
Eiffel Tower.
Like-
You hear the sound effect of the phone ring. I'm like, that's so cheap, but such a great way to imply that the phones are ringing all around the world. And so apparently,
it worked.
yeah, it worked. And
And then we're left with just wondering, like, okay, so now what? Which in my mind, I'm thinking of today's, like, just, I guess, history of how events went. And I'm like, so he's just sort of stuck there?
I guess because
Until-
everyone's got to dial up.
until the
most people are.
internet?
I mean, most people haven't gotten their AOL disc even yet. So
Yeah.
it's like, I mean, it's not like
What?
it's not like the age of fiber optics or just having a phone in your pocket like you're constantly on. So I don't the phone ringing thing. It's like, well, I did that. Now just sit and wait.
Well, and then, like, even with cell phones nowadays, so, like, we're not really connected to anything. It's more airwaves. So is he going to be able to, like, mess with the energy within, like, airwaves? Or is he going to
Can
be
you mess
able
with-
to...
But how much is even hooked up? Like, I mean, what server is he on? Because like, can't be a ton of server space.
I
How
don't
much
know.
how much space does his soul take
But
up?
they did mention, like, maybe he's just pure energy. And, like, anything that requires energy he's able to take over. But then again, that also means, like, the physical world, like, we are technically energy. So, but he can't mess with that. I don't know. I'm looking too far into this.
Well, but then again, like anything's possible because this I forgot to mention this company seems to have Zoom or Skype that works
That is
perfectly
true.
with no drops, no static, no like hitches, glitches,
Did
nothing.
you even see a camera? Like when they
No,
were
it's like with a
filming?
giant talking head on the wall. I'm
Yeah.
like, I take it for granted because that was always kind of a sci-fi conceit of like the calls where you have like the screen of you see the person
Yeah,
you're
you see the
talking to.
person.
But now I'm just like, it doesn't even work that well now. Like I'm like, good for you guys. That's like a full-on like theater screen size with what bandwidth did you
The
have?
military and the government. They have all the best stuff.
I guess. I
Maybe.
mean, but it really is a fun time capsule
It
of all
is.
this stuff. And I can't but wonder like what it helped inspire, like we were talking about, like with like things like the Star Trek communicator inspiring later tech, that kind of stuff. But it's also a hilariously utter failure of adaptation and probably should have been something else entirely.
Yeah.
But I know they wanted the selling ability of King's name on it, and I think that's
But
part of it.
still,
But they
I mean-
lost it anyway. They lost the name. So I'm just like, it didn't do them any good.
They literally could have just not done Lawnmower Man and just had it been I don't know. Had it been something else.
Super VR evil something.
Yeah,
I don't
because
know.
literally, I mean, like we said, cumulatively, there's like 60 seconds of mowing lawn, and he doesn't even call himself the Lawnmower Man. Except, like, there's literally, I think,
Well, I mean, he
5
does. They
times
say
that
it's
he's
the Lawnmower
Lawnmower
Man. I mean, if you're familiar with the CinemaSins thing, it'd be like roll credits because anytime they say the title in a movie, it's like roll credits, and they call him out as the Lawnmower Man. So there is that, but I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm not mad I watched it again, but
I'm not mad I watched it either, and I'm happy that I did. But it was just so different. I feel like I just had an image after reading the short story of what it could have been and what it was going to be in my mind. I was so hyped to watch it. And then I turn it on and I'm like, what is this? What is, like from the get-go, when they start talking about virtual reality, from the initial read screen, I'm just like, what is this? What is going on? So yeah.
yeah. Well, those were our thoughts on The Lawnmower Man. And now here's Clucifer with your clue for the next week's adaptation.
Clucifer here. Your clue for the next film is hosted by a no-talent knockoff.
The Library Grindhouse, I'm Jesse.
And I'm Leah.
And we will see you later in the week for our review episode for the story The Lawnmower Man, and then our Friday reveal episode.
All right, bye.